All right, just getting the YouTube chat set up. There we go. Okay. So yeah, let's close a few of these that we don't need. All right, the rest looks pretty good. What is this actually? Hold on. LM Studio. I probably don't need that running right now. Man, I installed a bunch of junk though, didn't I? Oh man. Okay. So in our app, right, we got to this point. Instead of changing this to an outline, I think I just want to change it from duotone to solid. And yeah, Nelixis and everyone else joining, we basically created these buttons. We have not created the routes that they're going to link to yet, which we should do. But right now, I just want to like fine tune a little bit more. We got to figure out why we're not getting any today payments. Like it makes sense why we wouldn't get any today, but like on the days that we scaffold the data, we should get some too. Yeah, I'm doing it without the outline. I just don't like the grays of the dot dot dot. So we're gonna change it to just a solid, like black outline. Yeah, so dots 3 outline duotone we're gonna get rid of. Variant here is gonna go back to subtle. I think we just do solid there. No, we gotta go look it up. Damn it. We could do like a rounded button. Dots 3 bold versus just dots 3. Dots 3 outline fill, so it's big, nice and thick. I think I like dots 3 outline fill. How do we feel about it this way? Should it be the vertical lines, or the vertical dots, or the horizontal dots? Because we have that option now too. It doesn't strike me as like obviously a button, right? So that's kind of a problem. For the charts, that is like Mantine ships with charts. And it's using just recharts under the hood. All right, so here's something I'm going to do. We're going to call it just menu icon. And then we can change it however we see fit. So Dr. Drap, there's a couple ways to use it. Yes, like the lazy loading version is maybe the default, but there's also just an offline version, which is what I'm using. So it's basically this SVG value that you see here. That's basically being inlined into my code. Right. So we see the full SVG there. And then, yeah, we just got to make it way bigger. Okay, so then instead of 42, maybe just 32. Yeah, I like it. All right, we'll call that good. Yeah. Okay, so I like that. What I'm thinking is when we go back to like quotas and balances, we're gonna do the same thing there, right? So yeah, we'll style those basically the same as each other and call it good. The size may change, but that's about it. All right, so now the size is just off. Instead of 32, let's do 24. Yeah. Oop. All right. So yeah, I like this. I think that works. All right, so here's one thing. We made these buttons. We want to make them links. Yeah, I think it's fine. And I know they've got an example of this somewhere in the Mantine docs. Okay, so these links are definitely wrong because we haven't actually looked at that yet. We don't have those routes yet. So we need to create those routes, but at least now these are proper links instead of just buttons, and that's a good thing. So here's the thing. I just had a thought, right? We have the transactions and payments buttons at the top when really we should have a button to just like view all or details or more just right next to the title there, and then we'd be good. What's up, Alavo? How you doing? I think that might be our move. Sure, maybe a lava. Okay, so, yep, I want to at least toy with the idea. We'll just hide these buttons for now, but we're going to make it links, and we're probably going to even make the title be a link. And we want to have just something next to the title here that will send the user to that page. What should it do? What should it say? Should it say view all? And then we're done? Just a nice and simple view all button next to it? I think so. I think extra small is what we want. Well, that's not bad. Yeah, how do y'all feel about that? So then we'll end up getting rid of payments and transactions. I still think I want like edit and delete in this button on the side anyway. Should I be looking at a different variant, right? We could do light. I'd say light makes more sense than subtle. Yeah, yeah, I like it. All right. Yep, I like it. All right, so we basically end up needing another section here. All right, so balance transactions stats is actually what we're going to look for. Which we don't have as anything yet. Ah, oh, damn, that sucks, Array. Dude, scammers are the worst, man. France? We come from France? Sorry, that's from the movie Coneheads. Yeah, no, that sucks. It's going well, Daz. How about you? What are you up to? We're just doing some stuff like trying to figure out like how we want to do some layout stuff. So yeah, instead of a transactions and payments button up here, I'm thinking a view all button here, but maybe we just do both? I'm not actually opposed to doing both. I don't know, like, yeah, just making it easier for our user to be able to, like, click the thing they care about. Oh, and we don't need this. So we can just check for this. Why are we not getting any issues up here? What did I do differently? Oh, I'm just telling it like, hey man, you already checked this to deal with it. Oh, and yeah, we don't need to map those. That was it. That's why it seemed so weird. Okay, so yeah, we're just doing text center on that. And it's saying total when really it should just be today. Right? So yeah, these links are incorrect now, and we just need to create those pages. But yeah, I like it so far. I want to make the title here also be a link. And yeah, that's actually the URL. Fix our posture. And yes, we don't have that URL. I also probably want to get some type of like loader in there when we're like fetching this thing. And yeah, we'll have to do the same thing for quota, like description. Yeah, we'll see. Like, I don't know. It's fun to build, isn't it? And even if no one else uses it, I want to use it for my own stuff. I have projects I want to make. Most of them are going to end up having some kind of, balance or quota system. So, yeah, we can just make it happen. You just start building stuff, man. Wait, why does this keep going full width? There we go. Okay. So we're going to have a page for balance transactions and balance payments. What happened? Hey, HCTP, thank you for the sub. Appreciate that. Thank you. And Windsor, thank you for the follow. Welcome. All right, and while we're in the process, we'll create the quota usage and quota adjustments. It's going to be quota usages, but whatever. All right, so we got that boilerplate. Now we need to go create those routes. That'll be over here in main. Oh, and this is wrong. That's the end of the album. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna want to maybe organize my pages better here at some point. It's just a top level pages folder. Just getting a bit messy. But it's not bad yet. Yeah, okay. So the next step, we should fill in the same stuff that we just did for balances into the quotas page. So yeah, it'd be over on this page. Yeah, let me close a few of these tabs that we're not going to need. What up, Jonah? How you doing? Yeah, Merry Christmas. And I got to think about dinner tonight. Probably not going to be something that takes a long time to cook. I didn't go to the grocery store. It's either chili or Indian food. The Indian food just sounds so good. Yeah, I'll probably do Indian food tonight. Okay, so we are on the quota details page. We just did balance details stuff. Let's go look at the quota details page. And yeah, the edit delete button, those go away. What up, Burkay? How you doing? I used to lead an Angular project. Why do I use React? You're asking as someone who's used both, but you've been leaning more towards Angular lately. Just libraries. There's nothing nearly as good as Mantine in the Angular ecosystem. As far as I know, I don't think you can use Angular in Astro either. I don't know. Like, I just don't know if they have one. Yeah, see, so they don't have Angular support in Astro. I mean, do you see it in the list? I see Alpine, Preact, React, Solid, Svelte, and Vue. Yeah, but it's not official, right? Yeah, I just I'm not a big fan of unofficial integrations. It's a real easy way to get into dependency hell. I don't see how Angular couldn't need one because Angular needs the compiler. So you'd have to wire the compiler to whatever Astro does. Right? Like any framework that requires a build step would require a native integration. Or not native, but an integration. What's up, Tobbs? How you doing? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that I like Angular for. It's just, I don't know. To me, yeah, when building like a my own project, I'll lean on React most of the time. If I'm doing something where I'm at like a company and I need to be able to train people up, I have more confidence that I can teach Angular to a Vue dev than I do React to a Vue dev. Because there's just less to learn. Now they're kind of messing that up with signals these days. And what are those guardrails, right? Like, I would love for more specifics. I agree to some extent, right? Like having the interceptors as part of the HTTP client by default. Yeah, you're going to need that for most like applications you build, right? Instead of having to wire up the interceptor logic myself. So that gets annoying, sure. I massively, massively preferred teaching people services and using those as a source of like state truth and shareable data between things. With React, it's just, every project is its own special snowflake. So, Space Case, that's actually not true anymore, right? They're messing that up with signals. It used to be very simple. You create a service that abstracts on top of some RxJS stuff, and then bam, you're done. That's your state management. But then they went down the NGRX route. Then they went down, like, now the signals route. Like, Angular is actually actively undermining the guardrails approach that you're talking about. Yes, that's intentional, Tabs. YouTube's copyright strike system is super annoying. But it also means that you can just listen to whatever music you want over on YouTube. So if you don't like synthwave, you can do whatever. So yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of things that I think the Angular team is actively undermining because they want to entice people from the React world. When I think that's the wrong goal. But yeah, again, for the same reason I am picking React, it's the same reason I would pick Angular at a company. So I'm picking React for what I'm doing because I want to do things my own special, specific way. I want to use Yotai. I want to use other state management stuff. I want to have a choice of router. Is there a TanStack query implementation for Angular? Probably not an official one, right? So there's too many libraries that I would want to use, right? TanStack table. Does that work in Angular? Not that I know of. There is no component framework that is as full-featured and kept up to date as Mantine in the Angular ecosystem. At a company, yeah, you can build out all that yourself, and it's going to be like, you can make exactly what the designer is asking of you. Sure. But man, like, I just want to be productive. Sure, that's fine. You'll find that a lot of those decisions you make once and then you just keep making them. Yeah, exactly, Luna. So like TanStack, like just the library ecosystem for React is really important to me. Now keep in mind that you can actually implement your own version of TanStack query really easily with services, right? Like the way you do your caching and all that. So yeah, at that point, Angular does set you up to not need TanStack query nearly as much because you can just cache whatever you want at the Angular service level and you're good. There's a lot of like power to that. Does it? Yeah, let me go look. I wasn't aware of that. It didn't last time I looked at it. Okay, yeah, Angular right there. Yep, cool. Okay, so that's nice. Yeah, TanStack query. It's experimental though. So that already scares me a little bit. And yeah, it's only query right now. So yeah, if we wanted to use TanStack table, we'd be SOL. No, looks like TanStack table works with Angular now. Yeah, okay, that's huge. Oh, that's massive. Yeah, router wouldn't make sense because you just have the Angular router and it works fine. So I'm not worried about that. But yeah, TanStack table and query are like the big things for me. Angular has its own form thing, so that's a little nicer too. So yeah, there is definitely stuff that Angular ships with that you wouldn't even need to bring a library in for, which is nice. And yeah, Angular form. Yeah. This is far more impressive than I remember it being. I haven't looked at this in over a year. They're kind of nailing it. That's awesome. So yeah, TanStack, really good stuff. So yeah, basically, space case, TanStack started out as basically a bunch of like headless components that you can then wire up to your framework of choice. So the core of all of the like of TanStack query, React, TanStack table, TanStack form, right? They're all headless, and their logic is happening without any framework specific stuff. And then it's just up to like wiring that like change detection up to whatever system you want. So I basically think TanStack maintains its own like event bus under the hood, and then you just subscribe to those events for the wrappers you want to make. But it's a very, very cool idea. The fact, like, TanStack table is probably, I think that's the first one, right? Started out as React table, and then it became TanStack table because they ended up supporting Vue and supporting other stuff. And yeah, that was like the big one. So yeah, basically, what I'm getting at is for what we're building right now, I'm using Mantine's tables, and they're all right. But I will probably switch to TanStack table if I need anything like better, you know? Yep. Yeah, TanStack query is great. I don't think I need it yet, but I will be refactoring my data fetching to TanStack query here eventually. Just because the amount of like caching logic that I would save myself from for stuff like these utilization values and other things, man, so nice. Yeah, because it's doing that use effect under the hood for you. But yeah, like loading state, like all that stuff just built in instead of managing that yourself with another state variable. Like, very nice. I'm currently doing that a bunch on my project. I just want to get this to a nicer place first before I start refactoring something like that. So yeah, which is why I'm kind of like putting off doing a bunch of loaders all over the place for now because I can just wire that up elsewhere. There's Spiridon. What do you want to bet? He's ranting about vanilla JS versus frameworks. Like, I get it, man, but come on. We've heard that song. Damn, my thumbnail over on the category is a little awkward. Whatever. Hold on. Yeah, let's get a different album going. Okay, so we got that button there. And yeah, I kind of want to grab these buttons right here as well. When I mess that up over here, so I have an extension that doesn't work quite as well as it should inside of JSX. But what you can kind of see here is it's annotating the end bracket with the information that started it, basically. So basically, this is just a decoration, but if I'm down here, VS Code doesn't necessarily give me that context anymore. It'll give me some of that context as it does the stickiness at the top. But if I'm just like glancing around and I want to see what the end of this bracket is without having to scroll up for it, we know that that bracket ties to if zero values.length is greater than 0. So we call those biscuits because they're like breadcrumbs, but they're better. I have one for HTML, which is called HTML biscuits. We are very close to the 12K installs, which I think is kind of cool. The one that's doing the chili is JSTS because it's spicy. And then if you want to work with other languages, I can also annotate brackets in those, such as C, C#, Elm, Go, Java, JSON, Kotlin, Lua, PHP, Python, Rust, Toml, and YAML. All of the white space sensitive languages are a little funkier, but yeah, like here you see some Rust code being annotated, where it just updates the little thing at the end. Want to allow for full Chrome use? I mean, so it's a VS Code thing. So it's not a browser extension. It's a VS Code extension. That doesn't sound right to me. I have a Mac Mini from 2014, and I was able to do all this stuff. That could be part of it. That could definitely be part of it then. I know my 2014 was fine, but yeah, 2012 is really old. So yeah, I get it. I'm pretty sure there's something you could do, but I don't know. Like you could just use Safari to download stuff. Yeah. HTTP, yeah, it's like really bullshitty. Here's hereafter unto foreknown as. Like, yeah, we just wanted to do it as bullshitty as possible. I think each one is like slightly different. Here's so unto foreknown as. We just wanted to make it sound as like bullshitty as possible. All right, so it's really just assorted biscuits that has the issue. And if you end up being a NeoVim user, we have NeoVim biscuits as well. So yeah, here you see some Go code getting annotated with NeoVim biscuits. Tej himself even helped out with it, which is kind of cool. Yeah, no worries. Let me know what you think. And if you run into bugs, well, it's open source. You can fix them. I'm a little lazy, okay? Where'd you see that next? And Rayu, thank you for the follow. Welcome. No. So Tej Dev is another Twitch streamer. He is like one of the main contributors to NeoVim, which is a command line text editor. That's fine. HTTP, like, yeah, we'll see. It's open source. So, yeah, have at it. All right, so this page should build. 1 second. Let me do one thing looking at work real quick. Okay. It's some weird stuff. Hmm. Whether they saw the message or not, I think the result would have been the same. All right, so for quotas, we don't do transactions, actually. We do usages. I don't know if I like that word, but it'll work. So here's something. I don't think I realized that these aren't the only things. We also need to get like accounts in there. So there's usages, adjustments, like the full list of those things. We kind of want to see the list of accounts as well. And then for mobile, we'll want to kick that down to the next line, right? Account utilization. So how many accounts are at the 0 to 20% usage of this quota? How many are at 20 to 40%? So next, you probably need to read up on logic gates, right? The electronics that make up the prototype for what we do with binary these days. This chart, this is a bar chart there, Abdu. And yeah, part of what I'm doing here, I would probably want to put the numbers like somewhere in there. Like putting it below was a little funky. Like this is basically where I'd want to like probably get into recharts and do some custom rendering for the chart. Next, 1 and 0 just simply represents on and off. That's it. Well, then, I don't know. We're not going to get too deep into it. Because pixels are not how computers actually store data. Yeah, and I understand that, HTTP. Yeah, I got to figure out where to put the numbers, but we run into an issue because right now we're condensing this third column from like the other 5 that are there. So once we get down to 5, the value beneath gets funky. Yeah, we're not going to worry about dealing with this chart yet. I already described the fact that I'm going to have to do some custom stuff for it. We're not doing that part right now, though. Next, I just don't care. I'm sorry. This is not a beginner computer science class. Nope. You have the entire internet at your fingertips right now. At some point, you can just simply accept that it is the way it is and actually be productive and build stuff. Caring about the why is actually not important. You can simply accept that Pythagorean theorem is correct without having to go through the proofs yourself. As an example, right? If you get bogged down in the why, you'll never get anything done. What's up, Light to 7? How you doing? So yeah, usages, adjustments. We're going to create a button for accounts, and we're going to need to actually create those pages. Yeah, do. Yeah, I totally agree. And this person could find that stuff with a very quick Google search. That's on them. What's up, Jay? How you doing? So we need an icon. That one doesn't look too bad. We could also just do something like this. Anyone got a preference on the icon? All right, so you like this one, the circle? Yeah, I mean, we can add it. What we'll do is we'll give it a semantic name. That way it's a little bit easier. And we'll call it user icon, account icon. And it's not account duotone, it is user circle duotone. Yeah, I like that so far. Yeah, this feels good so far. It's going to be a 404 because we don't have that page right now, but that's fine. Just waiting till I make a good mistake, at which point I can do this. Oh no, I made that bug happen. The lion facepalm hoodie is the perfect hoodie for programming. Yeah, the one for data transfer is an icon button versus an actual button. We can make them a little bit bigger. Lion facepalm, there you go. So yeah, Abdu, I would say that's okay to me. Right? What we care about is the icon being in relation to the text next to it. And we could do a little bit of an increase, but I'm not going to make this icon the exact same size as that. I don't care. They serve a different purpose. They have a different hierarchy of what they do. But yeah, a little bit bigger just in relation to accounts there. I think that would make sense. So yeah, 24, sure. But yeah, I think making it the same size would be wrong. My shirt game is on point. Yeah. Yeah, I have the best hoodies on Twitch. No sense being modest about that. Technically, Spiridon has some really good hoodies too. He's got some really nice like Star Wars themed ones, which are nice. But yeah, Abdu, does that look a little better? thinking it might be a little too big. Maybe I chop it down to like 20 or 22. And what's up, Justice? How you doing? What do you think, Abdu? You're the one that cared. Austin? Yeah. This looks good to you? Okay. What if I just crank it just down a little bit? Let me just try it. That was probably too much. How do we feel about that? That a little better? Or did you like it bigger? It is just 2 pixels, so like quibbling over that is a little annoying, but eh. I'd rather do it now than deal with it later, right? It should be a 72-point font. Yeah, I mean, if you're old, you're used to doing this anyway, right? Like zooming way in. You like the 22 better than 24 too? Okay, cool. Yeah, I liked it as well. Cool. Good feedback. Thank you. Yeah, so what we're going to do here, though, is we're going to add this button here. One problem we have already is that needed to be that. Let me grab this accounts button because we're going to need that over on balance details as well. All right, so we've got that for balances and quotas, but we haven't created those pages yet. So yeah, now we're going to have balance accounts as a page. Then we'll do quota accounts as well. And we need to add those to our main. Okay, so then one more thing I want to do here. When we get down to a smaller screen size, I want those buttons to kick off to the side. We still got this bug with like the the business drop down thing getting in the way. Like, I like the menu just chilling. But instead, what I'm thinking is, yeah, we're going to need to, like, really just redo the mobile menu, I think. Yeah, I think that's the main move. Yeah, I would say we are at 4 o'clock. That might be a good time for a beverage, right? As we keep doing more of this stuff. Like, we got our work ahead of us. Yeah, let me make a whiskey. Let me go just rinse this real quick. And yeah, definitely not trying to overdo it like I did on Thursday. Massively overdid it. Oh, you got to go, Abdu? Yeah, no worries. Thank you for the feedback. Honestly, I appreciate you. Have a good night. Oh, yeah, on Thursday, I massively overdid it. We ended up getting a raid from Theo and Acorn. So I kind of like just kept streaming because I like, you know, I like seeing the big viewership numbers. And I just kept pouring beverages during that. Yeah. Like, it's still like holiday season. Definitely got to start dialing it back more. We got New Year's coming up, though. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh, neck pop. Yeah, I got myself some Basil Hayden for New Year's. Probably do need to go stock up on some more Coca-Cola for it. And we'll probably just go until like midnight my time. But yeah, we'll start streaming at our normal time. We'll do like the Happy New Year like once an hour basically, right? And yeah, it'll be good. All right, so yeah, first step we wanted was I want to make this kick to a new line. We're currently on a quota, so we'll do quota details first and then just copy it over. So basically, we get these two things next to each other. It is flex. We want actually flex call and then LG flex row. Let's double check how that looks as we get smaller. We do see them kick to new rows, but yeah, when we get like super narrow, we actually want these to go flex call as well. So flex call, I think this one maybe even like MD flex row. Not bad. I would almost say yeah, the business selector and the menu button are getting really annoying. Let me just hide the business selector for now. I'm just not 100% certain where I want to put it when we're at the mobile level. But really, like, all of that menu stuff should go up into a hamburger menu. Even, like, the user login, logout stuff. Now we can just hide that. And then we can at least, like, look at this a little bit better. So, yeah. Spacing's a little funky. Yeah, so I like that. And then when we get to there, it kind of just has to do what we're doing there. How do we feel about that so far? I think I like it. It gets a little funky at the narrowest. Like, what should we do with the button there? That I don't know. Should probably just be up in the upper corner. I think we'll leave it for now. That one we can like quibble over later when we get like a proper designer. All right, fix my posture. Yeah, we should probably change the font size a bit. So yeah, like this title we should shrink down. I like that. Okay. So it seems to me like class variance authority doesn't really do anything for that. Right? Like mobile responsiveness is like a higher level. Oh, yeah, yeah. We can just do it in here. Okay. We do need to rebuild that. What up, Yanni? How you doing? Ah, I know what the problem here is. So what we end up needing to do is we need to tell Tailwind to look at our design system. There we go. So yeah, some of that was just working because of like we were using those classes elsewhere, but then some of it was not. So yeah, here we go. Now those classes can be picked up. So if you're not aware, basically Tailwind operates on the idea of CSS purge. And what CSS purge actually does is you can define a CSS file, and if you don't use a class from that file, CSS purge will actually strip that class from that file, right? Or a better way of thinking about it is if you're having it scan your source files and you use a thing, it'll create a new CSS file that has that thing, which is nice. So basically, Tailwind is a like 5 megabyte CSS file that then with CSS purge and scanning your code, you're able to reduce down to only the stuff you're using, which is really nice. So yeah, I think that looks better for sure. Yeah, good call. Have I ever done? Yeah, more like forest shaking. Yeah, true, true. We're gonna fern gully this shit. Oh, that's a tweet. Yeah, yeah. So I started describing how CSS purge works on stream. Would you like to be shouted out by name, Steel Toad? That's up to you. Like, dude, you came up with it. Like, technically, I wouldn't have thought of the fern gullying thing without you. So it's up to you. Do you want to get tagged or any of that? Do you want your name mentioned at least? Just let me know before I figure out how I want to phrase the rest of this. That's fine. That's fine. I'd say that was good enough. Screw it, whatever. All right, it's basically a shit post, so we don't have to like do it too well. Tailwind Fern Gully's your CSS code. Right? That's like the proper way of using that term. Hold on. Let me, before I forget, I need to send a message to someone. Okay. So yeah, how's everyone doing today? What y'all up to? This looks amazing. Ooh, I mean, thank you. I think the balances page looks a little better because the graphs kind of make more sense. Like I got to get loaders and some of those things going, but like sure, the graphs are empty, but yeah, being able to get to accounts, transactions, and payments here. In fact, you know what? I might want to kick accounts, transactions, and payments just into a new row automatically. I don't know. We'll let it be. Like, we can always fix it later. But yeah, we're getting there. Like, I'm pretty proud of it. And something you may have missed there, code drift, is we got this like sort and filtering done as well. So yeah, we're basically setting up the scaffolding for like all the other stuff, basically. Like for like creating the pages and being able to link to them and all that, like the routing, and then we're gonna have to actually start filling in basically this same kind of like table functionality. So we're doing like the setup for that part. So what did I end up using for the chart library? I'm using Mantine because Mantine ships with it, and it's like the component library I'm using already. Mantine charts is just a wrapper around recharts, though. However, and I'm assuming you're using React. Recharts is nice. There's also Nevo, and Nevo allows a lot of like really like interesting stuff too. I don't remember what Recharts has. You know, it does have a good chunk. So yeah, what I'm getting at is basically Mantine and their wrapper is nice. There are certain things where I'm already considering branching out and using recharts directly instead. Yeah. Like V0 does some cool stuff, but like you run into its limits really quickly. Yeah, I think the biggest thing, like, what are you using for your main, like, component library? I'm guessing shadcn if you're using v0, right? Oh, v0 of the project. Oh, okay, okay. Got it. My bad. But yeah, shadcn charts. Like, what are you using for your component library? Home rolled with CVA. Got it. Okay. Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. I tend to pick Mantine because it just does everything I need. Um, you may be able to like plug shadcn in for some of this stuff, but yeah, shadcn's charts are pretty lackluster. So I don't know. I'd simply recommend some like proper charting library. And in that case, recharts or Nevo would probably be my recommendation. I haven't tried or even like looked at it. At a previous job I was at, we were using Nevo, and Nevo, like we were stuck on a version of Nevo because we were stuck on like an old version of Webpack, and like so much of like yeah like man, before I got laid off from that job because they couldn't actually secure like another round of funding. I believe that was the issue. Um, I was like so close to finishing our port to Vite. Basically, with the Webpack stuff, you would like launch up like npm dev or whatever. I think we were using Yarn maybe, but Yarn dev, and then you'd just get up and walk away while stuff like compiled, and you'd come back a couple minutes later to actually be productive. Like it was gnarly. Meanwhile, with Vite, like oh man, that branch I had was fast. Like, it was good. And yeah, fully upgrading to Vite would have allowed us to upgrade our version of Nevo and React Table and a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, I'm a little bummed. I hate like leaving in the middle of like a big project like that. I would have loved the endorphins of finishing that. The problem was that it ended up breaking some styles because Vite does different things as far as like the order in which things get imported. So like we ran into like some of our CSS wasn't specifically scoped enough to where then like the order in which CSS files got imported based upon like how you navigated through the project because of per route bundling and all that, that ended up like breaking some of our styling. I doubt it because pretty much our entire team got laid off and they kept the one like overseas dev who's really good overseas dev. Um, but if when you only have one front end dev, yeah, they want you to keep pumping out features, not tech debt. Yeah, I feel bad about it. I would have loved to like go back and do some contract work to finish it if they thought it was worth it, you know? But I don't know. It's way past that. Like my prior boss's boss is at a totally new company, right? Like, dude, they really trimmed the people that worked there because yeah, they were needing to secure funding at a time when it was really hard to do so. Like I don't even think they have the same CEO anymore. But yeah, like let me just point out, like Nevo, a lot of this stuff is not like you needing to know D3 at all. So yeah, the depth of charts that you get from Nevo goes way deeper. Like if you want to do anything like this stuff's just so much easier using a library that supports it. So like there we go, code drift. Just go look at the charts available to you in Nevo versus recharts. And just like, I don't know, sky's the limit that stuff and think about like, well, how do I want to visualize things? You have so many more options with Nevo compared to recharts. And like changing charting library is something you really don't want to have to do. Why not use Power BI at this point? True. No, and I get that. Like, I don't know. These kind of things are kind of nice. Yeah, it just really depends. Like, I don't know, man. Like, there's just so much that's like possible. Yeah, changing would suck. Building the wrong data viz feels like it would suck more. Yeah, but if you're within the same ecosystem, then you still get the same like theming and all that. So then it's not a big deal. I don't know. Totally up to you. Do whatever you want. Recharts versus Nevo. Totally up to you. I would go look at their code base and evaluate the health of that too. Right? Like which one gets a better score when you start evaluating like how often is it updated? How many people are contributing? Like blah blah blah. Yeah, no worries, Code Drift, for sure. And Terran V. Depends on the questions. I mean, you can ask. Doesn't mean I'm going to answer. But, you know, if they're simple enough and unoffensive, then sure. Inoffensive, unoffensive. But yeah, Yanni, thank you for that follow. We shouted that one out. Lipsky, that was a little bit ago. I'm sorry. Thank you for the follow, Lipsky. All right. So you're a MERN stack developer. How easy will it be for you to get an internship? I mean, no one can answer that question for you. But here's one big thing that I want to share that some people might not realize. You pretty much never want to click that like easy apply button on LinkedIn. A lot of companies just don't look at any of the applications that come in through LinkedIn. What you end up wanting to do is use LinkedIn to discover jobs. It's really good at that. And like, man, some of the stuff they recommend for you, like, yeah, I'm really liking just all the time when LinkedIn is like, hey, you checked out this one job, check out these other ones. So number one, just make sure when you're applying, you go through the company's website. And then that'll funnel you through to something like Lever or Greenhouse or whatever. Yeah, Greenhouse, wherever they host their actual application logic. That's what you want to go through. How do you stand out? That's going to be different from company to company. What I would say is make sure you have a project that is technically deep enough that you can talk about it in a passionate way, right? Like as an intern and a junior, people want to see what your potential is. They care less about your current opinions. They care more about, are you willing to learn type stuff. And part of that willingness to learn is being passionate when describing a project you've worked on. So yeah, build stuff. Well, I guess that's another thing. I'm not aware of how well Recharts does like transitions. This is one really nice thing about Nevo. Like when you change the data going in, you get like animations between the states. I really like that there, Code Drift. So if you're like changing filters or anything and you're getting to see this stuff like animate, then there you go. Yes, Taryn, that's what I said. Recharts does have animations between states too. Cool. I just couldn't remember. Axis and time boxes. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I would say time boxes is actually the part where animations would be fun, like for like a line or something. All right, so there you go. There's a bit of it there, Taryn. And then the part that got cut off is I'm using DynamoDB for the database. Yeah, just fire them up and test them. Exactly, Code Drift. Yep. All right, so the part that we're on now. Oh no, my token expired. Boo. That's why I picked this up. So I just had a thought. Right, we've got a component here in Mantine. Let me find it. Hmm. I don't think it's an input, though it could be styled as a radio, but it's not a radio. What I'm looking for is basically like the when you have like four buttons in a row and you click one and like, the section's highlighted. It's typically used for like sub pagination or sub like maybe this is it, tabs. We could just do it as tabs. I think the problem is I still want it to be like a separate route rather than a full on like nested panel. Hmm. Pranav, more about the homegrown wrapper around Architect. It adds things like middleware and an ORM for Dynamo, and it allows me to build out my OpenAPI spec from metadata within the code, just to name a few things. I also kind of wrap their CLI tool with some extra stuff to like keep them from like printing out keys and things like that. I do another thing where I glue together a bunch of like their architect like metadata files into like the one big file that it cares about, just so that stuff's easier to manage. Yeah, I don't know if tabs is actually the right abstraction here. Hmm. Yeah, what I'm really looking for is like a button group. And I might have to style that just myself. So the big thing I'm getting at here is I feel like accounts, transitions, and payments should actually be like sub buttons here that go all the way across. And then the page that we're on when we're here at the default is just overview. And tabs are the right abstraction for that, except that the tab component just wants all of this stuff on one page. I don't think I want to make my pages that heavy. Hmm. I don't know. We can think about it later. Like, let's just start getting content onto these pages. Yeah, yeah, we can deal with that later, right? Again, that's just a UI problem that doesn't matter as much right now. Let's get the data on the page. So then if we click to accounts, we just want to do like the generic card thing for that. All right, so we'll add all missing imports. Set button doesn't come from there. Button comes from here. All right, and what are we getting for all of our state? Yeah, we'll grab all these chunks. I think some of this logic we're going to want to abstract out a bit. But for now, we're probably okay. And here's something I want to make sure I don't forget. All right, dots duotone. grab both of those just in case. And yeah, Pranav, did you have any other questions about the wrapper? Okay, so the endpoint that we're getting all this from, yeah, this ends up being a lot of the same data that we had, right? So this is no longer balance specific. It does end up being a lot of the same logic. But what we end up wanting to do is show the balance itself. And then here, instead of just view details, right? We could have view transactions, view whatever, right? But the balance value would be something we want to show on this page for sure. You're doing some pagination stuff right now too. Nice. What type of pagination are you doing? I kind of do the infinite, like just load more style. Mainly because with DynamoDB we don't get the idea of like doing the whole like limit kind of like SQL style that you would do it. So instead, we just have to pass a cursor and fetch like X amount after that cursor. So it lends itself to like an infinite scroll style, like loading. We're just not doing like the load more as you scroll to the bottom thing, right? We're making it behind a click, which I'm okay with. But yeah, we do want to bring in their balance. So yeah, this like fetch that we're doing would actually need to go to a separate endpoint that allows us to fetch all the balances too. Yeah, so if you're working with a proper SQL database, then you're good to go. Right? And then you can do basically anything you want. And what's up, Pranav? What about the skeleton? Yeah, it's weird how 17 makes it in there twice, but then like on the next load, it doesn't. Like the value that we loaded from. We only get a single repetition. So yeah, we got a bug there, but we're not gonna deal with that right now. Right? That's just like that's such an edge case bug that it's not gonna break a user's experience to see it. Yeah, exactly. So for infinite scrolling, you add a skeleton so that there is no buffering much to make a smooth transition. Oh, I know what you're saying there. So it's basically the way that like that's if you're doing a proper infinite scroll. So the user can scroll as much as they want and they get down to some value. You still need to know how many you're going to have when you do something like that. So you'd need like a total value to come back for you to actually like have that scrolling work out as you expect. And I don't care enough about that part. But yeah, the way you're describing that, Pranav, is basically the way that iOS has done infinite scrolling forever. Chronic, sure, but that's not going to work here because we're not using SQL. And yeah, technically we are getting like the full total value. So we could even set up like the infinite scroll. I just don't know if it's worth it. Like again, that's something that we can do when we need it. We don't need to do it right away. What did I use for tables? No, I'm just using Mantine's tables right now. I would eventually probably refactor to TanStack tables, but for now we're good. Metageza. For this, no. Because if the user really does want to like filter down to a specific thing, I would expect them to actually just do a search or add some of our filtering for date ranges. If what you're actually asking is like what's the proper way to do infinite scroll? Yeah, for infinite scroll, you actually only ever have like the stuff loaded into the table that you're kind of showing with like a little bit of a read ahead and look behind, right? So then you only ever have, let's say, if we're showing 20 on the page, you'd only have 40 in memory. And then you're just loading the others into the DOM as you see fit. So hold on. You mean something like this, X Factor? That's what the per page value's for. Yeah, one big thing is our filters here, like date range. We're going to want to change that to like created at or whatever, just as our label, which is easy enough. So then it's at least created date. Sure, that'll help. But yeah, we need to start getting into the back end data. Now, actually, here's a good question. If I refresh, 17's in there once, we see 26. If I load more, do we see 26 twice? We don't. So somehow, the double 17 bug only happens at the 10 level. So we'll just set the default to 20 and call it good. Problem solved, right? No big deal. Yeah, bug fixed. And yeah, Pranav, like, let me just point out, a lot of back-end people like to think that front end is easy, but the moment you make them do the front end, they realize it isn't. Right? There are so many concerns to building out a good UX and a good UI that back-end devs never even consider. So, for the most part, just remember, nobody's job is easy. If it was easy, they wouldn't be worth being paid what they deserve, you know? Even your project manager, their job is not easy. Do you want to sit in Jira all day? Do you want to spend 6 of your 8 hours a day in meetings? I mean, just think about it, Chronic. Like, how much time do you want to spend in Jira every day? 0, right? Like, come on. You're PM, right? It's like that meme where like all the arrows are shooting and they're landing in the back of like the dude with the armor and blah blah blah, and he's just shielding like the smaller person beneath him. Yeah, that's what your PM does with like management requests and graphing your progress and like velocity and all that BS. Yeah, neither one is harder than the other. They're both hard. You're going to be better at the thing that you do every day. That's what I was getting at, Crepe. I hope it didn't sound like I was saying front end's harder. What I'm getting at is everything's hard. When you can recognize that, you'll be able to work better with your team. But let me go pee. I'll be right back. Consider designers, right? As devs, we like to think that designers just adjust pixel sizes and move things over by a pixel or two in Figma. No, designers actually have to like talk with clients and do user studies and shit. Ugh. Ugh. Please no. Nobody's job is easy. The moment you recognize that, you're going to work way better with everyone on your team. I will say, hold on. I got it pretty easy. I got it pretty easy as a developer advocate, though. Oh, shit. Really? Hold on. Oh man, chaotic, making me sweat. Oh, damn T. Higgins. I got one player playing today, Puka. We'll see if Puka thinks we should have a close matchup or not. And yeah, 5 o'clock on a Saturday. It's been whiskey o'clock since you woke up. Come on, man. Well, there you go. Come on. That's true, Larobi, but backend has their other stuff that's tough. Did I see Theo's tweet? There's a dude saying he should be poached by Silicon Valley because he is a genius and writing code is easy. No, HTTP, do you have a link? Yeah, I mean, I see Theo's tweets fairly frequently, but I'm just not using Twitter that much these days. You know, fuck Elon Musk. All my homies hate Elon Musk. Okay, so it isn't about the credential. I'm obviously super smart and know how to work hard. If Silicon Valley is desperate for workers, they would be trying to poach me right now. Also, you don't need to get a college degree to learn to code. I learned ancient Greek in 6 weeks. It's a high IQ thing you wouldn't understand. Holy shitballs, dude. This guy's kidding, right? This guy's joking, yeah? It's got to be a meme, right? So yeah, I'll take you up on this. I'll pay you for 3 months of work at a senior dev level. If your contributions are good, I'll keep you on staff. If they're not, you pay me back and delete your account forever. Bragging about having a PhD in computer science is like boasting you have a doctorate in welding or being a car mechanic. Try hard cope for insecurity. Dude, has this guy ever actually worked on a car? This guy's never actually worked on a car. I would love to see him try and troubleshoot a breakdown. Like, your car won't start? Figure it out, buddy. Well, obviously I don't do that. I just call someone to do it. Yeah, that's our point there, Josiah. Yeah, modern cars are incredibly complicated. Like, back in the day, it used to be easy. Well, okay, are we getting spark? Are we getting fuel? Are we getting air? Those are the three main things. And you can do that. But you know what? Sensors, right? Like all the electronics nowadays really, really, really fuck that up, right? A standard internal combustion engine, you check three things. In my 1995 Subaru, I just checked those three things. Am I getting spark? Am I getting fuel? Am I getting air? And there are steps you can go through for that. But holy shit, nowadays, like a modern car, dude, the electronics are so damn complicated. Your car might not be starting because there's some weird BS happening, you know? Like, ugh. Like, you can still check for spark, fuel, and air, and that'll help you understand a bit of it, but you still won't know why that's happening. HTML is a language. Yes, my dream car, if I make a lot of money, because, hold on, let me explain it, is an AMC Eagle wagon. These are the most badass station wagon ever, even with, like, especially with the fake wood paneling and everything. Dude. But you need to be rich as fuck because they're basically a Jeep. And I'm talking like an 80s Jeep. They're basically an 80s Jeep frame, or at least like the base. The frame. Yeah, yeah. And then like Jeep engine, Jeep transmission. So yeah, you need to be made of money if you want to deal with like 80s Jeep transmissions. The gas mileage gonna suck. Back when Jeep was good, like they were good at what they did, but they still broke down all the time. Better than they are now. Yeah, yeah, obviously, sure. Like they could actually go over like four-wheel terrain, sure. But yeah, dude, I want myself an AMC Eagle wagon. I'm gonna get it lifted, right? None of these have the lift I'm looking for. Where's like the yeah. Oh. Yeah, look at that. Little bit of a lift on it. Not too bad. Where's like the monster truck one? I want a monster truck looking one. Oh. Technically, this isn't a monster truck one. It's just like up on a thing. But yeah, yeah, dude, these cars are the best. I really want one. Oh, yes, that's what I'm looking for. I want a step stool to get in my car. I open the door and this little like ladder folds out. Yep. All right, let me get more music going. How was my RV experience? What do you mean by that, Pranav? Oh, crepe, come on. These cars are beautiful. What do you drive? Like, what is your dream car? I promise I won't leak all of the terrible things your college peers have shared with me if you respond. Damn, so this dude's getting roasted by people that know him. Oh, that was good. A Volvo P1800. I don't know those specifically. Okay. Bet it handles like shit in the snow. No, it is a very cool looking car, for sure. Yeah, it reminds me of like a European version of the Mustang, right? Like the original Mustang. Oh, you saw one that was converted to EV? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind converting an AMC Eagle wagon to an EV as well. It would just get terrible, terrible mileage because it's not aerodynamic, whereas this is at least. But no, like, I get it. I like a car that can actually drive through snow. That's like my one criteria for it. Oh, Pranav. Okay. So, yeah, that was not an RV. That was a van. That's a very different thing. Yes, I lived in a van when I was a snowboard bum. I did so for, let's say, maybe 6 or 7 years. And yeah, one of them was a big, like, Ford Econoline, like, just big blue, badass beast. Then the one after that was a GMC Safari. The GMC Safari, I actually put in the work and had like a proper bed inside of it and everything. But yeah, living in a van was great. I only did it during the summers. I wouldn't do that during the winter. That would be terrible. That'd be a really bad idea. Damn, so this was all like today. This is recent. Oh shit. I wonder if this guy is recognizing that it doesn't matter how smart or good you are. If you suck to work with, no one's going to hire you. Companies figured that out a long fucking time ago. Like almost every single person on every software team ever would prefer someone who's a medium dev, but really nice to work with. I'd rather work with a full team of medium devs than a couple really smart ones that just fucking suck. Like, dude. Yeah, no, this guy's just a fucking dickhead. How does he have 47,000 followers, though? Just total dickhead. Hillsdale Poli Sci PhDs. Ah, God, dude. Yeah, Twitter is just the fucking worst, dude. These guys can keep it. Dude, Twitter's the worst, man. Meta, it's maybe a bunch of bots, maybe a bunch of just MAGA dickheads. That's all Twitter is at this point. Somehow, and honestly, I understand how, but somehow, like, tech Twitter hasn't fully jumped ship yet. Part of the reason, you'd be surprised how many of, like, the people in tech Twitter are really conservative. You'd be, like, really surprised. It kind of fucking sucks. Like, people I would consider friends are also really fucking conservative. It's just gross. Yeah, Blue Sky's getting bigger for sure. Yeah, Blue Sky's great. Yeah, man. It would be toxic of me to name names, but holy shit, man. Some of the people that that have just like taken the mask off lately. Dude, that shit sucks. People I'd be happy to have a drink with as long as we don't talk politics. Yeah, exactly. So you don't even know if they're actually serious. They just want to get that paycheck. Yeah, exactly, chaotic. Yeah. Yeah, it's just funny when one side's like, well, I just don't want people to starve. And the other one's like, well, no, I want people to starve. You know, like, holy shit, dude. Do you hear yourself? Probably Space Case. Yeah, I almost want to create like just a bot account. But then I'd just be contributing to that shit. Ugh. Yeah, the amount of people that would happily let people starve just so they have cheaper taxes. Like, come on, man. But anyway, this is not a politics stream. We'll drop the subject. My bad. My bad. It's my fault. This font right here, this is Drama Sans. Sans the drama, which is why we're going to drop the politics stuff for now, because we just want the easy living, the smooth sailing, right? Zero edges. Yeah, Chaotic is happy because he actually has a chance in fantasy football this week. He didn't for a minute. All right, so FOSDEM? What is FOSDEM? Oh, it's like a really big conference, right? Yeah, this one's in Brussels in February. I didn't get a talk accepted. And it's probably too late to get one accepted now. No, I understand that, Ninjatron, but I'm not making it to Brussels unless someone's willing to pay me to do so. And GitKraken is not going to pay for me to go to a conference unless I'm speaking about GitKraken. Yeah. Like the flight would probably be like $1,000 at least, right? Hotel room, probably another grand out of my pocket. I'd have to be working while I was there anyway because, again, it wouldn't be Get Kraken focused. So yeah, I don't know. I do need to apply to more conferences. Deadline for submissions is 1st of December. I might be able to see if we know anyone. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make this one happen. Giannis Orlandos, one of our like longtime viewers who helped us out with a bunch of like Swift stuff. I got to meet him at GitHub Universe, and that was awesome. He recommended FOSDEM, but yeah, I just didn't apply to it in time, and yeah, I just didn't think I would be able to get anything accepted that would have been Get Kraken focused. So how do I choose what I want to talk about when I do a talk? Yeah, no worries, Space Case. Have a good one. So basically, I work on enough stuff that I basically have like a quiver of talks I can pull out. So instead, then I base it around the conference itself and what I could propose. Sometimes I don't even have like the talk ready made, and instead, if I get accepted, I'll start writing the talk, you know? But I can come up with a title and a description, and then, yeah, it's just proposal-driven development at that point. But yeah, one of my big criteria is how am I going to, like, pay to get there? So if a conference pays for my flight and hotel room, dude, I'll propose all sorts of talks for a conference that does that. So yeah, React Miami, I submitted 3 talks. You typically don't want to submit more than 3. Render ATL, they only allow you to do 1. So I submitted 1 to that. I will sometimes look at the criteria of if I am getting the flight and hotel paid for, I can talk about anything, right? If the conference doesn't cover flight and hotel, well, I need to figure out a way to make it Get Kraken focused. Because then Get Kraken can help cover the cost. Some conferences I might as well just go anyway because the cost isn't that big. Like I went to KubeCon, and I talked about feature flag like algorithms for like gradual rollout, gradual release, whatever. That one I paid for out of my own pocket. Fuck it. Whatever. Because a flight to Utah, cheap. Hotel room in Utah, not bad. Drinking in Utah, actually not very expensive. There was a bar where it was $5 Buffalo Traces. Now, granted, it's Utah, so you're never going to get like a strong pour. Clamor Red? I mean, sure. That's fine. But yeah, $5 Buffalo Trace in Utah was nice. I closed down that bar every night I was there. The cheap whiskey did make up for the fact that they do karaoke there. Yeah, it was something like the Cheers Lounge or something like that in Utah. It's a good spot. We are at 5:30. It's probably about time for me to order the Indian food so that I can play some games around 6-ish. Yeah, let me put in the order. And yeah, we'll start looking at the back end for this and gluing together some of the data that we need for it. And yeah, I could eat chili tonight, or I could eat Indian food. Indian food sounds better. All right, so garlic naan, butter chicken, let's look at their appetizers. Not a big fan of the samosas. $13 for the fish pakora is a bit much. Yeah, their appetizers are like the price of a full meal. Yeah, no, we're good. So yeah, some butter chicken, hot, and garlic naan. That sounds like a meal for me. We're going to do the express direct to me for an extra $3 just because I've had way better results for that one. And yeah. We do a $5 tip instead of $3 and place order. So yeah, it'll be anywhere between 40 and 60 minutes. Technically, in the past, it's only been 30. So yeah, we should be good. Try biryani. I'm a butter chicken eater. It's like, it's the main thing for me. I know I've had some other stuff. Yeah, one of my close friends, Bedtime Bear. We know what his real name is. But a friend I know through him, we had some like Indian food together, and man, some of the stuff they ordered was really good. I forgot to get the name of it though. Like one of them was goat. Another dish was also really delicious. But man, butter chicken's just so good. It's just so good. It might have been mutton instead of goat. Maybe mutton and goat are the same thing. Mutton's sheep, right? I feel like it was goat, but I don't know. Yeah, I need to start like making my own butter chicken at some point. I believe one of the things waiting for me at my P.O. box is actually one of those like wand like blenders. Yeah. I think it was goat. Yep. But yeah, if I can get that wand blender, I'll start making my own butter chicken sauce and stuff like that. And then yeah, then I can eat good. I'm gonna have to clean out my rice cooker majorly. So I mean, Jonestown, get yourself a rice cooker. That part becomes really, really easy. The key thing about having a rice cooker is making sure you actually clean it out when you're done. The inside of my rice cooker is a science experiment at the moment.
The inside of my rice cooker has better facial hair than I do. Um, Rice is easy on the stove only if you're doing like instant rice or minute rice or any of that stuff. If you're doing like proper rice, it's less easy, like, and really easy to mess up. Meanwhile, just a rice cooker, you just throw it in and it'll just keep it warm like all day for you. Like, dude, a rice cooker changes the game when it comes to rice. Just make sure you clean it out. And dude, a rice cooker's like $30. Like, they're so cheap. Like, I'm tempted to just buy a brand new one. Larobi, if you're doing rice correctly, you don't remove the water because you put in the right amount of water. Like, Larobi, you're already making my point for me. You shouldn't be removing water if you're cooking rice properly because you put in just enough rice to make it good. Which is why you should just use a rice cooker. Right? The proper way to cook rice doesn't involve removing any water because you put in exactly the amount you needed. With minute rice, that's easier. That's a different kind of rice there, Escamania, for sure. So yeah, Escamania, what you're describing is a good way to do like rice-a-roni style rice or like a good fried rice. If you want to do sticky rice or Mongolian beef style like sticky rice, like all that, like they're very different techniques. So yeah, depending on how you want to cook the rice, it depends on what you do there. One part rice, 2 parts water. There you go. The way I've always heard it described is like the water should never be like a knuckle separated, right? So you basically want like your middle knuckle of extra water on the rice. Yeah, the knuckle technique. But that's for a specific kind of rice too. If you want to do basmati versus some other like strain of rice, then it changes, right? Rice is not as easy as people think. The people that say rice is easy are probably people that aren't that good at cooks. Yeah, yeah. For fried rice, you actually want to do day old as well. Yep. Yeah. Yep. There's also like if you want to do sushi rice, you get it sticky, but you also add vinegar, which is tricky and interesting as well. So yeah, like people that say rice is easy, I don't know, how much rice are you actually cooking? Didn't I say sushi rice? Wait, what did I say? My brain thought sushi. What word came out of my mouth? Okay, I did say sushi. Okay, so for Larobi, you meant sushi rice. Got it, got it, got it. Brain fart, brain fart. I misread what you said. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Yep. Yeah, 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 yeah. All right, all right, all right. We got there. We got there. We did it, Reddit. But yeah, the kind of rice you're making really does change things, you know? JavaScript rice? JavaScript rice. Is that basically just rice-a-roni? Where, sure, it's rice, but it's also got, like, carrots and shit in it. It's got vermicelli in it. Like, yeah, yeah. Rice-a-roni. That's JS rice. There we go. And Pranav, how do you calculate how much water is needed for rice? There's the knuckle technique. Hold on, real quick. Right? We even got this little video. Are they going to show the whole thing? They're not. Basically, right? Add water to a pot of rice until it reaches the first knuckle of your finger. Rinse the rice in a pot, add the rice to the pot, and level it out. Put your fingertip on top of the rice, add water until it reaches your first knuckle. Yeah, my whole thing is you actually have to be like watching the pot if you're doing stovetop rice, whereas a rice cooker just works. You're done and it's always at the proper temp and you just go scoop it out. So it depends on how much effort you want to put into cooking a meal, realistically, and that's what a rice cooker would save you from. And just like JS, there's 100 types of rice-a-roni boxes with different flavors. Yeah, exactly. All right, so back to it. Let's go look at our back end. What endpoint are we going to want to be hitting here? So basically, we're on the account balances page. Right? And for each one of these, we're going to want to show the user's actual balance. So what we end up needing to do is query for all of the accounts, basically, but then add their balance data to it. Whereas that's like not what we're doing here on accounts, because accounts is like the user in general, and you might have 20 different balances, right? Most people would only have one or two, sure. But for this specific balance, we can just add a row of what their balance value is. So yeah, it's going to be like the same get all, like data, but we're going to need to then do a get all by ID on the account balances. And we should be good. Larobi, there's no such thing as a join in Dynamo. Doesn't exist, man. Luckily, it completes fast enough that we don't need to care. No matter what, a Dynamo query is pretty much going to come back as a like less than 10 millisecond request. And we get like infinite scalability with that. What are the keys used for? They're used for querying, but they're not used for joining. Dynamo is a NoSQL database. It does mean you'll have a little bit of waterfalls, but the goal is that your queries end up becoming simpler because you're just fetching the data you need individually, right? So if you haven't read the Dynamo white paper, I would highly recommend it. Yes, so the common pattern for DynamoDB is everything sits within a single table. Because of that, your keys are for basically like being able to query specific rows within that same table, right? Because it's all one table. And yeah, highly available is not a joke there, Escamilla. Like, highly available. I don't concern myself with scaling horizontally with Dynamo. I just put the data in and get the data out. There's something massively valuable about that from an infrastructure level. You're no longer worrying about scaling a database. It just scales. Right? So it's not just about how the data is stored. It's about how the data is scaled. In a traditional company, you have at least a DevOps person or someone who cares maintaining the scalability of your SQL cluster. You don't do that with Dynamo. You don't give a shit. That's their problem. It opens things up massively. Now, I know there are serverless SQL providers like CockroachDB, or I know there's a few others too. But then you're like really vendor locked. Now, I'm really vendor locked to Dynamo too, but Dynamo's cheaper. Yeah, Dynamo's way cheaper than Supabase. Like, way cheaper. SQLite, you run into the same problem. If you're going to run SQLite, how are you going to be doing replication and all that stuff? Oh, devils. No. The entire goal of what we're doing is to avoid a scan at all costs, because scans are really slow and really costly. All of this stuff is actually using queries, not scans, which is why you have to be really like conscious about how you set up your keys and your like global secondary indexes for a project. So let me go show a little bit of that, right? We can look at, my tables. And here, right, I got my core table that has like the core and TTL, right? TTL is, these things expire. You still have to check the actual expiration date because Dynamo isn't going to guarantee that they remove a row after the TTL expires, right? They just have a cron job going through and doing this stuff. So you still need to check your TTL values, but they will go through and clean stuff up for you eventually. But as far as my core table, I just got partition key and sort key as my partition key and sort key. And then if I want to do some other stuff, let's look at table indexes. I then set up where I can query by my sort key, and the partition key is the thing that we're like sorting by. I can query by tertiary key or quaternary key. Those are generic keys that I can decide what the data access pattern actually needs to be, like what values go into that key. And then I got stuff that's way more specific, like when I'm querying for accounts in my, like, you know, in that view that you were just seeing. So if I want to sort and filter by a certain row, it requires having a global secondary index set up for that. So luckily, I can say tertiary key is my thing, but then account ID is my sort index. And we're just going by account ID to get these values and sorted by account ID. And we do the same thing for account name, created at. All these indexes are ephemeral. We're not going to care about backing them up. The only backups we do are on the core table. Yeah, Nori's devil's eye. But yeah, like the main goal is that it is cheaper to operate a global secondary index, sorry for the burp, than it is to do scans. Scans are really expensive and really slow. So I may end up with 20 plus global secondary indexes. I don't give a shit. That shit's fine. We're okay. Right? I'm not backing those things up, and backing up your data is actually the most costly part of Dynamo. Data in a table is cheap as fuck. Global secondary indexes, cheap as fuck. Scans, expensive. Backups, expensive. So that's why like the single table design is important, because your backups are just a single backup per gigabyte. Look at it this way. I have, I don't know, let's consider using Arc. Let's look at all the entities I have. I've got accounts, account balances, account quotas. I've got API keys, balances, businesses. Let's look at the stuff that matters. Quotas and users, right? So that's 9 things, let's just say. If I did a table for each one of those, it would cost me 25 cents per table to do a backup. So we're looking at $2.25 for every single backup, even if there's only a single row in that table, because they charge you for the first gigabyte. Whereas instead, I can do per hour backups on a single table, and it's 25 cents. Right? So yeah, for me, the cost to optimize around is database backup. Because for me to consume a gigabyte worth of data in my Dynamo table, dude, that's so many rows. Holy shit. Like, man, it'll be a long time before I even hit going beyond that first 25 cents. Like a long time. So for me, at the bare minimum, I am optimizing around the backup cost. For a larger business, probably less important. But I think it still matters. Let me get more music going though. So yeah, basically most of my decisions for this project and pretty much every other project I build is being able to scale to 0. Like Stream Parrot. Dude, I fucked up with Stream Parrot. Stream Parrot cost me like $100 a month. Now I could probably optimize the cost of that if I still had that source code for deployment. But no, that hard drive crashed. Now I'm just stuck with it. I could kill Stream Parrot and save $100 a month. But no, I'm good. I'm fine with that. But yeah, like Stream Parrot's running on an EC2 instance that is scaled up for storage because we had a runaway log process. There's a staging environment as well. Right? Like there's a bunch. I made StreamParrot's backend with Elixir, and Elixir just doesn't lend itself towards like serverless or scale to zero systems. You could do it on Fly, but Fly still doesn't really scale to 0.0. They scale to 0 if no one touches it, but they don't scale to 0 based upon like storage or like bandwidth or any of that. So the moment one person hits StreamParrot, if I had it on Fly, then I'm getting billed for the time of that thing being running. If nobody touches it, well then, yeah, it goes away and we're fine and I'm not paying for it. But the moment a single user logs back into StreamParrot, I'm still paying for that runtime. If I was on Fly.io. Now, granted, it would probably still be cheaper than what I'm doing on AWS, but it was a good learning experience 3+ years ago. At this point, though, as I spin up projects, scale to 0 is my most important thought. I want to be able to scale to a lot of users really quickly too, but scale to 0 is like the biggest thing for me. If no one touches it, no one uses it, I don't pay anything. That sounds really nice. You'd be really curious about the query once we write it. I mean, so I can just show you the query that we're making for accounts. It's going to be basically this same query logic, but I'm then going to do a runtime join, right? So I'm going to make another just separate query for taking all the IDs that I get back from this query, right? So get paginated data, right? The total items. And then I'm going to have to do another thing where I query for the account balance, because that is a separate entity and a separate set of keys. And then I just glue it together. What we're getting at, though, is that this is going to add no more than an extra 10 milliseconds because it's just another Dynamo query. Meanwhile, if I was running this to hit something like Supabase or CockroachDB outside of my network, we'd be going through the entire like hops outside of the AWS infrastructure to get to it. And that could potentially be like an extra 100 milliseconds added to the request. So I'm really big about making sure my database is in the same data center as my Lambda. I'm not a big fan of these like database as a service providers that are potentially outside of my immediate network in AWS or in a different region or any of that stuff, right? There's like a cost to that latency wise that I just don't want to pay. But here, an extra 10 milliseconds, probably less. Who cares, you know? So Larobi, that's technically what we have. All of that data is in one table here. Everything is in one table because, again, I'm optimizing for cost. But you don't necessarily want to duplicate the account and then add an account balance value to it because we can have multiple balances. If there was only one balance per account, then yeah, like boom, it's all in one row, like no big deal. That's how we used to operate. But now we're operating under the assumption that a business could have more than one balance type. Just think League of Legends, right? Blue crystals and red crystals. Those are two separate balances that need to be maintained separately from each other. So instead, no, I just have to do an extra query and glue the data together, right? Is it ideal? No. Is it going to be fast enough? Yeah. Because this is not like the hot path. This is not something that we need to worry like a user is going to be pushing data to directly. This is part of the dashboard where like the dashboard like reading of these values is going to be like maybe 5% of my entire like actual like data reading, you know? For a dashboard, it can be a little bit slower. By 10 milliseconds, no problem. The problem would only be if my consumers, right, like the people hitting my API using an API key for their business, if they were incurring slower requests because of it. So what I'm actually getting at is I'm optimizing for consumers of my API more than I'm optimizing for my dashboard. Now, even then, Larobi, I don't think optimizing the dashboard is going to be a bottleneck for a long time. Because it's not actually like the common case. It's not the hot path. But yeah, let me go use the restroom real quick. I do see that the driver is on their way to go pick up my food, which is cool. But yeah, I do enjoy explaining some of this stuff. Doesn't mean I'm good at it, but the more I talk about it, the better I get at it. And hey, what's up, Robotic Head? How you doing? You looking forward to some gaming tonight? There you go. Hell yeah. Yeah, if y'all don't know, I will be on my gaming stream tonight. Right? My Indian food will get delivered. I'm going to eat it, and then I'm going to play some either Pillars of Eternity 2 or Pal World with Robotic Head, Acorn, and Algo Bro. Should be pretty fun. It's a good crew. Ooh, ACM, that's the dance you're doing, right? Can you mash potato? Can you do the twist? Tell me, babe, do you like it like this? I'd love to know what the dance the mashed potato is, because that'll, like, just on name alone, that's what I'd do. Oh, ACM was doing the emote. I forgot we had an emote. You grab and twist. We'll leave it up to the viewer's imagination on what you're grabbing and twisting. But that's how you win any fight. Grab and twist. Oh, shit. They're saying the food will be delivered here in the next... They're saying 10 minutes. I bet it'll be here even sooner. In fact, we're at a good moment. I didn't write any of the query. Let me do this. Yeah, exactly. So basically, the plan for not tomorrow, because tomorrow I got work to do. I got videos to record for Get Crackin'. I got a video to record for myself, like for my own YouTube channel. We'll be back here on Monday. I'll be over on Gaming Stream tomorrow, though. So just in case, just so you know, right? On Gaming Stream, we game most of the time on Sundays and sometimes Wednesdays, depending on the Wednesday. I'm over on that stream just working, and we watch some TV shows like Father Ted or Black Books or IT Crowd or whatever, you know? Like, we just chill. We hang out while I'm working off screen that you can't see. I forgot about that Tailwind emote. Dude, our emotes go deep. This is years worth of emotes. But yeah, we should go raid someone. Who's going? I go to the following list. I do see Spiridon. I see Blazebits. Ben Filiatro. Let's go raid Ben. Let's go raid Ben. Oh, Sandwich is maybe the creepiest one. He does have follower or sub-only chat. I think it'll be fine, though. He's worth a follow. I think y'all will like it. I'll be over on gaming here in just a minute. Yeah, my food's, like, on the way. So I got to get going. Like, we're going to click that button. I'm going to pause the music. YouTube, thank y'all for hanging out. I will see y'all on YouTube on Monday. And if you want to go hang out on my gaming stream, it's Griffing and Chill here on Twitch. So I'll be there in just a little bit. See you there later tonight and tomorrow. And then I'll be back on the main stream on Monday. So YouTube.